Spicy decks of the week, we had a new box that came out, so we have a few new decks to show off from there, as well as a couple different Pendulum decks to go out at the end of the video as well. So, leading off, we have Prediction Princess here. This was one of the decks that got some new support here in the most recent box. Prediction Princess Territory is our boss monster here. Now, this has a Book of Moon effect that you can activate once per turn during either player's turn. So, being able to throw this on the board turn 1 and have a Book of Moon effect there is extremely powerful, but its graveyard summoning effect is also extremely powerful, because once per turn during your end phase, you can special summon a foot monster from your graveyard or from your hand to the board in face down defense position. So we have the Deuce X Crawler here as a level 9, which fits the full requirement for our Prediction Princess Territory boss monster. And we can actually search it out from our deck to hand with the Spirit of the Fallwind. Normal summon, it's another new card out of the new box, and when you normal summon, you can add any foot monster from your deck to hand, any foot monster. So that gives you the ability to run some things like that Subterra Behemoth monster that's really big. You can also run a few things like that Summer of Illusions card. Either way, you can search out your material for this deck to be able to perform your ritual summon while putting an 1800 attack point monster on the board. That's also a level 4. You can potentially XYZ summon with it too. But your Deuce X Crawler has a nice effect too. When it's been flip face up, your opponent's monster's effects on the field are negated. So you can summon the Territory, send the Crawler to the graveyard to pay the cost for it. During the end phase, you'll bring back the Crawler to the board. You can actually, in your end phase, then activate Prediction Princess's other effect to flip it face up. And then on your opponent's turn, your opponent won't be able to activate monster effects on the board with the Crawler up. And you still have that Book of Moon effect active on the Prediction Princess during your opponent's turn. And then you can back it up with more things like Sphere Kuriboh, Chalice, Book of Moon, Torrential, or excuse me, a Treacherous Trap Hole. So there's all kinds of tools in this deck to really just hamp your opponent. You can go first and completely lock them out of the game. It's extremely fun to play with this deck. We were playing with on stream yesterday and doing pretty well with it. So, and this got top 16 in the battle phase, so it's not a bad deck either. You can definitely king of games with it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to play with, so Prediction Princess doing pretty well. Alright, next up we have Sylvan. So, Sylvans are a deck that's been slowly getting support here over time in Duel Links. We got a couple new ones in this deck, as well as a reprint of the Princess Sprite, which was in a selection box previously. So the new support we got Sylvan Princess Sprout. This is a level 1, you contribute it when it's on the board to excavate the top card of your deck. You send it to the graveyard, and then you can place a Sprout monster from your graveyard on top of your deck. So it lets you basically like pick what's on top of your deck, so you can activate your other Sylvan Excavation cards, get their effects. And when you excavate this card from the deck to your graveyard, you can special summon it to the board and then change its level to 1 through 8, which lets you perform the XYZ summons you want to make and be able to go into things like the new Aurea card. I should say there's 2 new main deck Sylvans and 1 new extra deck Sylvan monster we got too. So Aurea, new extra deck monster we got for it, 2 level 7 monsters, which goes really nicely with the Sage Koya that we got as well. Not going to go into as much, but it's definitely good to have. You see, we're running 3 copies of the rank 1, so Princess Sprite's definitely the one that we're going to go into more. Sage Koya is really nice. It can special summon itself to the board really easily, though. Whenever Sylvan monster is sent to your graveyard, you can special summon it from your hand, so it's a lot easier to get out of your hand than some other big monsters are. You can also, once per turn, activate a card off the top of your deck. If it's a plant, of course, send it to the graveyard. Same effects all the other one. So nice new addition to the Sylvan archetype. Unfortunately, though, Sylvans are still missing some things. We also got Mount Sylvan. I almost forgot about this card too. Yeah, we got the field spell for them, but this deck is still missing a few things. It hasn't been performing too well. We did manage to get a king of games here, but I've been kind of disappointed, honestly, with Sylvan. I was really hoping this deck was going to be better at some point, and we find that still we're just missing things here and there that's preventing the deck from getting to where it needs to be, at least where it was in the TCG once upon a time. Nonetheless, though, it's good that we're getting more and more support with them. Hopefully we'll continue to get some, and maybe we'll see Sylvans do a little bit better as we go forward. Next up, we got Bujins. Bujins got some Pendulum support, actually, in the most recent box. This is actually a top 16 in the battle phase. Now, this is actually kind of interesting. The monster we got for them is a normal monster, Pendulum, so it doesn't have an effect on it, but the fact that it doesn't have an effect is actually okay, because we can use Unexpected Die with it. It gives us one extra way to get to our turn 1 XYZ plays, which this deck sometimes had trouble doing. You know, it's easier to throw down Yamato or something else and get your Bujins in the graveyard, but having the Unexpected Die can really help you get to your Pendulum summons a little bit easier. The effect of this card, though, when it's in the Pendulum Zone, says you can banish this card in your Pendulum Zone, target a Bujin XYZ you control, and special summon from your extra deck 1 Bujin XYZ monster with a different name by using that target as the material. And this special summon monster tree is an XYZ summon, and the material stats become attached to it. So, pretty interesting effect there. It lets you climb the ranks up with your bujins, and or get into ones that you wouldn't otherwise be able to summon as easily. Things like the Amaterasu. So it's good for that purpose, and in addition to being a normal monster, you can bring out the unexpected die, which again helps you get into your XYZ monsters faster with this deck. So interesting to see Bujin's getting new support. I know that they've had some more people been waiting for this, so it remains to be seen if they're going to be able to make an impact on the metagame. Right now, it doesn't seem like it. But who knows? Maybe they have some more support to come on down the line. But good to see Bujin's are getting some help. All right, next up we have Gishki. Now this deck is absolutely insane. I'm going to be having a video coming up on this deck tomorrow. This deck is a lot of fun. It's actually been having a little bit of success too. It's probably been having the most success out of any decks that have the new box. Got multiple top 16s, top 32s in tournaments. Hasn't won anything yet, but it's been doing all right. So we got a few new cards in here. One, they got a new powerful boss monster for the Gishki archetype, Zilgigas. Whenever you ritual summon this monster on the board, once per turn, you can pay 1,000 life points to draw a card. Which is nice, right? Just drawing a card. But if it happens to be a Gishki monster, you can also shuffle a card on the board back into the deck. And it doesn't target either, so you can get rid of things like Saber Dancer, other annoying cards like that. Extremely powerful boss monster effect. Plus it has 3,200 attack points, which combined with even just 800 attack on the Abyss is enough to kill your opponent, along with just about any other attack in the game from a monster in this deck. So extremely powerful boss monster, and we can now get to it really easily. Of course, this deck has great searchers in it. You can discard the Shadow and the Vision to be able to search your deck for a ritual spell or monster. Abyss searches for them. The Beautiful Princess can search for those monsters as well, and none of them are once per turn either, so you can salvage these things back to your hand, constantly do their effects. You can ritual summon 3 times in one turn, even though you only have 2 rituals in the deck. You can very easily do that because so many cards in this deck recycle and allow you to just continue your plays, and nothing is a hard once per turn except for the Princess. This deck is absolutely nuts, and you're going to see some insane combos with this deck in the video tomorrow that we put out, because yeah, it's just bonkers what this deck is capable of. I had a lot of fun playing with it, and yeah, I'm excited to continue to play with Gishkis because the combos with this deck are just absolutely insane, and yeah, and it's so much fun. And we also have the Territory of the Shark skill with this deck too, which allows you to go into those XYZ plays. You get access to the Abyss Dweller and the Hope Woven, just like Water XYZ can do. So just another added benefit to this deck. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to show you guys that video tomorrow because it's absolutely insane what this deck can do. Next up, we have Nekroz. This was the deck that a lot of people were really hoping was going to be top tier in Duel Links. It was top tier in the TCG. It was tier 0 in the TCG for a bit. This deck dominated when it came out. It was absolutely incredible. But in Duel Links, so they've been really hesitant and slow to give us the support for this deck, and understandably so, because of what it did in the TCG. And even before they did, they decided to nerf it and limit Valkyris to 1 before we even got the chance to play with it at 3 with Brionac at 3. So it is what it is, though, and as a result, Nekroz hasn't been doing too much the last week or so, or less, that this box has been out. We have seen a couple people that are having success, and they're actually doing so with a Water XYZ variant of the deck. So we're running Deep Sea Diva in here, just like Water, along with the Atlantean Heavy Infantry. So we have the standard go into Abyss Dweller and pop your opponents. You're going to the Hope Woven play that Water XYZ does. Also running Gishki Chain. This is something that we see in Water decks at times too. Being able to like put on the top of your deck whatever you need. But we actually have Ritual Monsters in this deck, so we actually got to use its effect to add stuff to our hands here. Yeah, 3 Brionac, 1 Valkyris in this deck. We also have spells to go with it. Room for Treacherous Trap Hole. Sure, it's really nice being able to fill the entire requirements for our Nekroz summons while being able to search your deck. So there's a lot of cool little things here. It's just hasn't been enough for Nekroz. I know it just kind of feels like, man, just like all of these decks that came out in the new box are just not up to par with what we were hoping to be in the metagame. But they're doing well enough, obviously, to get King of Games, to get some spicy win streaks, to get some small tournament success. They may not be the best meta decks, but they're having a little bit of success there. So I'm excited to play with this one. I still have to get my 3rd Brionac, actually. It's the last thing in the end of the box at the very bottom of it. So frustrating, but we're going to get that 3rd Brionac soon. We're going to try out this deck as well, and try out Nekroz ourselves and see how we do with it. Alright, next up we have a couple of different Pendulum decks. First off, we have a DDD Odd Eyes mix-up hybrid deck. So this deck has a ton of consistency to it. We have our Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, which can obviously search our deck by destroying itself and pulling a pen monster out of your deck. We also have the Savant Kepler, which is going to let you search for your Dark Contract. Dark Contract is going to let you search for any of your DDD monsters, really, which is going to really flexible because, you know, you need different scales to be able to Pendulum summon, and we have the different scales in the DD here. Proud Ogre and the Savant Kepler are high scales, while the Orthos is a low scale. Orthos also gives you the ability to go after your opponent's back row, which means we don't need MST or stuff like that. We can just use this card. Proud Ogre also has another benefit too. You can actually, when you normal summon this card, you can special summon a face-up Dark Pendulum monster from your extra deck to the board. So you can actually bring back your Oddeyes Pendulum Dragon with it. You even bring back the Aether, the Evil Empowering Dragon with it. So in addition to all of our DDD monsters, we did get a new card out of the box, the most recent box that's going in here as well. Performapal Oddeyes Unicorn. The big effect with this one is, while this card is in your Pendulum zone, when your Oddeyes monster declares an attack, you can target one other Performapal monster you control. The attacking monster gains attack equal to the original attack of the targeted monster. So you get your Oddeyes Performapal monster on the board, or excuse me, your Oddeyes Pendulum Dragon on the board, and if you have your Performapal monster here, you can have it gain attack points equal to what you have there, helping you jump over your opponent's monster. So nice little effector. Also, you can gain life points too when you special summon this thing to the board. You can target Performapals in your graveyard and gain some life points back, so it can be really helpful in certain situations as well. Contract Procrastination is our skill, so we don't have to worry about paying the life point cost from our Dark Contract. Sky Iris, also as a field spell in here, is going to protect our Magician, Oddeyes, and Performapal monsters, letting us continue to do our plays. You know, a lot of different XYZ monsters in the deck that we can go into as well. Taking advantage of the Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, the Ebon Illusion Magician. We also have the Digital Bug Rhinoceros in here that we can go into. We got quite a few ranks or level 6s in here between the Proud Ogre and the Aether, the Evil Dragon. So a number of different rank or level 6s letting us go into that thing. Alright, and now we have another Pendulum deck. This is a more pure Performapal Oddeyes deck. We're using the Oddeyes Pendulum Dragon again here. 2 copies of the Unicorn that we mentioned from the last deck. We also have a couple copies of the Gangato here. And that is a beast monster along with the Unicorn, which is important because we're running the fusion monster, Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon. If we get a Dark Dragon type monster and a Beast type monster on the board, we can special summon this by tributing the above cards on the board. We don't need Polymerization, and then this card has 3,000 attack points, and if it destroys a monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the original attack of the Beast type fusion monster used for this card summon. So we can deal nice damage with this card and hit our opponents for quite a bit with it. In addition to that, we also have the Light Phoenix, this Performapal Oddeyes Light Phoenix, which at 2,000 attack points is going to give us a nice attack boost for our Oddeyes Unicorn effect if we can get it onto our Pendulum Dragon. Hit our opponent for over 4,000. We also have Sky Iris here, which can protect our Magician, Performapal, and Oddeyes cards when they're in the back row. Some actual back row to protect us. Fiendish Chain, Treacher Trap Hole, the Performapal Call, which is of course limited to 1. Quite a few different XYZ options for this deck as well. We have the Draco Sack, actually running 2 copies of it here. Can get into it pretty easily, it seems like. A couple of Gaia Dragons as well to give us that piercing damage. Ebon Illusion Magician, and also 1 copy of the Crimson Shadow Armor Ninja. So, I'm not sure how we get into that. Oh, yeah, we do. We have 2. Oh, yeah, we can get to the 2 Oddeyes Phoenix. I guess that's a level 5, so we do have a way to get to it. Anyways, that's all the spicy decks for this week. As I said, tomorrow we're going to be having that video on the Gishki deck, and then on Wednesday we should have a Prediction Princess video going up live. So be sure to like and subscribe so you guys are aware when those videos go up. And thank you so much for watching. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day.